Hello students, how are you all today? This is Ashar Khan, your assistant teacher from Shiv Jyoti Educational Group Kota, and I hope you're all well and studying regularly at your home. So students, today we are going to start a new chapter of civics, that is chapter number 8. The name of the chapter is Rural Livelihoods. Okay, so open your book on page number 67. Open your civics book on page number 67. Keep your pencil ready in your hand because we will be underlining a lot of important stuff. Okay, so before we begin, let us discuss what the name of the chapter means. Okay, I hope you all know by now that rural means village. Okay. In our previous chapters, we have learned about rural and urban administration, that is city and village administration, correct? Now, the same chapters that we are going to learn in our civics now are rural livelihoods, and the next chapter that we will learn is urban livelihoods. So, in this chapter, we are discussing rural livelihoods. So, you all know that rural means village. Now, what does this word means? Livelihood. Livelihood means occupation that we do to earn money. So that means in this chapter we are going to learn about different occupation which people perform in village to earn money. Okay, so let us start. Like our previous chapter, students, this chapter is also consisting of a lot of stories. Okay, so in this chapter we are going to learn the story of a village. We are going to learn the story of two villages, that is Kalapattu and Pudupet. So first we are learning the story of Kalapattu village. Okay, so open your book. Now in Kalapattu village, we are going to learn about three stories of three different people, that is Tulsi, Sekar, and the third story will be of Ramalingam and Karuthamma. Okay. So we are going to learn about these three different stories of three different people and how and what work they do to earn money in a village. And what is the name of the village? The name of the village is Kalpattu. Now students, before moving on to stories, let us first discuss the village. Okay, so start reading on page number 68. I hope you have pencil ready in front of you. Now, Kalapattu is a village that is close to the sea coast in Tamil Nadu. Tamil Nadu, as you know, is an Indian state. It's a South Indian state. Now people here do many kinds of work. As in other villages, here too there is non-farm work such as making baskets, utensils, pots, bricks and bullock carts. Now work in a village can be divided into two categories, that is farming and non-farming. Farming that is related to agriculture and non-farming which is not related to agriculture. So underline this. What are the non-farming works? Non-farming works such as making baskets, utensils, pots, bricks and bullock carts. These are the work which are not related to agriculture. So they are called non-farming works. I hope you understood. Now there are people as well who provide services such as blacksmith. We all know what blacksmith is, right? It is a person who works on iron. Okay, nurses, teachers, washermen, weavers, barbers, cycle repair mechanics and so on. There are also some shopkeepers and traders. In the main street, which looks like a bazaar, you will find a variety of small shops such as tea shops, grocery shops, barber shop, a clothes shop, tailor and two fertilizer and seed shop. Okay, two fertilizer and seed shops. Now as you can see, there are a lot of people who are doing a lot of other variety of works. There are 4 tea shops which sell tiffin such as idli, dosa and upma in the morning and snacks like vadai, bonda and Mysore pak in the evening. Near the tea shops in a corner lives a blacksmith family whose home serves as their workshop. Now see, the village is rich in different variety of people who do different work to earn money. We have learned that there is a blacksmith, a tailor, clothes shop, people sell grocery. Okay. Now next to their home is a cycle hire and repair shop. 2 families earn a living by washing clothes. There are some people who go to the nearby town to work as construction workers and lorry drivers. So you see, a lot of occupations are being followed in Kalapattu village. Now, the village is surrounded by low hills. Paddy is the main crop that is grown in irrigated land. Underline this. Which is the main crop that is grown in irrigated land? It is paddy. Paddy means rice. Okay. Most of the families earn a living through agriculture. Even though there are a lot many people who are working different kinds of occupation, most of the family in village Kalapattu earn their income through agriculture. Now there are also some coconut groves around, cotton, sugarcane and plantain are also grown, and there are also mango orchards. Let us now meet some people who work in the field in Kalapattu and see what we can learn about farming from them. So now we are finally coming to the story. So let us first learn the story of Tulsi. Okay. Now Tulsi is narrating her story, so let us read from her point of view. All of us here work on Ramalingam's land. He has 20 acres of paddy fields in Kalapattu. Even before I was married, I used to work on paddy fields in my parental village. Now Tulsi is saying that she here works on Ramalingam land, who owns 20 acres of paddy field in the village. Okay. She works from 8:30 in the morning till 4:30 in the evening, and Karuthamma, who is the wife of Ramalingam, supervises us. Now, this is one of the few times that in the year that I find regular work. Now, I am transplanting the paddy. When the plants have grown a bit, Ramalingam will call us again for weeding and then finally once again for the harvesting. So you see, Tulsi works on Ramalingam's land. Okay, she works in the paddy field which belongs to Ramalingam, and Karuthamma, who is the wife of Ramalingam, supervises on her. Now, this is the work which Tulsi does on the field. Okay, now first of all, what is the work? Preparing land for sowing. Okay, they have to prepare the land, then transplanting saplings. Weeding means removing unwanted plants. Okay, then adding fertilizers to soil, harvesting, and then threshing. Okay, now after this cycle completes, what happens? Let us read. Now, when I was young, Tulsi is saying that when she was young, I could do this work with no difficulty, but now as I grow older, I find bending for long hours with my feet in water very painful. Transplanting saplings requires that you bend and plug them. Okay, this hurts your back. As you grow old, your back gets hurt more. So she's saying that now that I'm old, this work hurts my back. Ramalingam pays ₹40 per day. She gets a very little amount of money for this work. She gets only ₹40 per day. This is a little less than what laborers get in my home village. But I come here because I can depend on him to call me whenever there is work. Now she is also saying that yes, this is less, but the thing is she can always rely on Ramalingam to hire her only because she charges less amount of money. Unlike others, he does not go looking for cheaper laborer from other villages. Okay. Now she is telling about her husband. My husband Raman is also a laborer. Okay. Laborer, what are laborers? That means people who do not have their own land and instead work on some other farmer's land for money. Now, we don't own any land. During the time of the year, he sprays pesticides. Now, what happens when there is no work? When there is no work on the farm, he finds work outside, either loading sand from the river or stone from the quarry nearby. Underline this as well. That when there is no work on the farm, okay, see what happens, there is a chart given on page number 69 in your book here. Now what is this chart saying? That from June to December, the farmers are busy with the work, okay, but after December, that is January, February, March, April and May, they don't have any work to do. The laborers do not have any work. So when there is no work, what Raman does is that he goes to other towns. Okay, he finds work outside. He either loads sands from the river or stone from the quarry nearby. This is sent by truck to be used in nearby towns to make houses. Now, apart from working on the land, Tulsi's work doesn't stop on the farm. Okay, she does other work as well because she has to do her household work too. Apart from working on the land, I do all the tasks at home. I cook food for my family and I cook food for my family, clean the house and wash clothes. Apart from that, I go with other women to the nearby forest to collect firewood. About 1 kilometer away, we have a village borewell from where I fetch water. So daily Tulsi have to travel 1 kilometer, okay, 1 kilometer and 1 kilometer back. Okay, that means 2 kilometers per day to fetch water. My husband helps in getting materials such as groceries for the house. So Tulsi has to work at house as well as in the fields as well. So she is very tired. Our school-going daughters are the joy of our lives. Now Tulsi is saying that she has daughters who are the joy of their life. Last year, one of them fell ill and had to be taken to the hospital in town. They had to sell our cow to pay back the money we borrowed from Ramalingam for her treatment. They didn't have money for her treatment, so they borrowed the money from Ramalingam, who is a large farmer, who is a rich farmer. Now, to repay that money, they had to sell their cow. Okay, so this was Tulsi's story, student. Okay. As you saw in Tulsi's stories, poor family in rural India often spend a lot of time every day collecting firewood, getting water and grazing their cattle. In villages, a lot of time is spent on getting water, collecting firewood or grazing the cattle. Even though they do not earn any money from these activities, they have to do them for the household. The family needs to spend time doing this as they are not able to survive on the little money they earn. Tulsi is only earning 40 rupees per day. Okay, that is not enough money to survive. Now, that is why they have to do extra work such as collecting firewood, getting water. This does not earn them money, but it helps them carry on their livelihood. It carry on their household. Okay. Nearly 2/5 of all rural families are agricultural laborers in our country. There are some who have small plots of land, while others, like Tulsi, are landless. Now, there are some farmers who have very small plot of land, but there are a lot of farmers like Tulsi who have no lands, and they are called landless laborers. That means they are laborers who do not have any land of their own. Not being able to earn money throughout the year forces people in many rural areas to travel long distances in search of work. Okay, and what happens when there is no work in the village? We learned that Raman, who is the husband of Tulsi, he has to go outside to work at some other construction sites or loading sites. This travel or migration takes place during particular season. And when does he travel? During particular season, when there is no work on the farm. Okay, so student, this was Tulsi's story. So students, we have learned Tulsi's stories in which we found out that Tulsi is a laborer. Okay, that means she does not have, neither she nor her husband have their own land, and they have to work on other farmers' land to earn money. Now, let us come to Shekhar's story. So, on page number 70, let us start reading the story of Shekhar, who is a small farmer. Now, what is difference between Tulsi and Shekhar's story is that Tulsi had no land, but Shekhar has some land. Let us see how it helps him. Now, Shekhar is starting the story, so he is saying, we have to carry this paddy to our house. My family has just finished harvesting our field. Now, Shekhar is saying that he has his own field. We don't own much land, only 2 acres. How many land does Shekhar have? Only 2 acres. We manage to do all the work on our own. At times, especially during the harvest, I take the help of other small farmers and in turn help them harvest their field. Now, Shekhar is a small farmer. That means he does not have much money to hire other farmers. Okay, other laborers. Now, so what does he do? He is saying that during harvest, I take the help of other small farmers. And when those farmers need help, he also goes to help them. The traders gave me seeds and fertilizers as a loan. Now, the trader who is selling seeds and fertilizer which are required for agriculture gave them to him. To pay this loan back, I have to sell my paddy to him at a somewhat lower price than what I would get in the market. But there was one condition. Sorry. So, what the condition was? That he has to sell the paddy to the trader at a lower price. Okay, then he would sell in the market. He was sent his agent to remind farmers who have taken loans that they will sell the paddy only to him, and the trader also sent agents to remind the farmers that you have taken the loan from the trader, and that means you have to sell some amount of paddy to the trader at a lower price. I will probably get 60 bags of paddy from my field. Now, he is saying that he will get 60 bags of rice from his field. Some of this I will sell to settle the loan. The rest will be used in my home. Now, some of the paddy will be sold to the trader at a lower price. Why he is selling to the paddy to the trader in a lower price? Because the trader gave him seed and fertilizers. Now, and the rest paddy, the rest of the rice which remains will be used in the home by their family. But whatever I have will last only 8 months. But the rice that they are remaining now, it will last only 8 months. So, I need to earn some more money. I work in Ramalingam's rice mill. Here I help him collect paddy from other farmers in the neighboring villages. So, what will he do when he doesn't have any work at his field? He will work in Ramalingam's rice mill. Now Shekhar is saying that we also have a hybrid cow, that means their family also has a cow whose milk we sell in the local milk cooperative. This way we get a little extra money for our everyday needs. So by Shekhar's story we have come to realize that what Shekhar is, that Shekhar is a small farmer. Okay, he does not own much land, he has some amount of land and a cow. Okay, that means he can manage to feed his family, but not for the entire year. He has to work somewhere else as well. For some amount of time he has to work as a laborer in Ramalingam's rice mill. Now on being in debt, as we have read above, very often farmers like Shekhar needs to borrow money to purchase basic things like seeds, fertilizers and pesticides. So students, on page number 70 write your first internal question. On page number 70, students, write your first internal question, that is, why do farmers like Shekhar needs to borrow money? I am repeating the question again. Why do farmers like Shekhar needs to borrow money? Please write this question on page number 70 in this blank space which is provided here at the top of the page. Okay. Now, underline the answer. The paragraph that we were reading, on being in debt, second line. Shekhar needs to borrow money to purchase basic things like seeds, fertilizers and pesticides. Okay. Why does he need to borrow money? He has to purchase some things to suit him in agriculture, so that he can use them in agriculture. That is seeds, fertilizers and pesticides. Often they borrow this money from money lenders. If the seeds are not of good quality or pests attack their crops, there can be a major crop failure. Now what happens if there is a crop failure, some insects come and attack the crops, then the crops will be ruined, they will not be able to sell it and they will not be able to pay the loan which they had taken from the money lender. The crops can also be ruined if the monsoon does not bring enough rain. Okay, this is also a possibility that during monsoon time what happened? Not enough rain happened. Okay, barish nahi hui achhi. Then what will happen? When this happens, farmers sometimes are unable to pay back their loans. And for the family to survive, they may even have to borrow more money. Now they have no money and no crops. So what choice do they have? They will have to borrow more money. Soon the loan becomes so large that no matter what they earn, they are unable to repay. And slowly, the loan on the farmer becomes so large that they can never repay it back. This is when we can say that they are caught in debt. This phenomena is called debt trap, which you will learn in higher classes. In debt trap, what happens is, see, it is called debt trap. What happened in debt trap is that the loan on the farmer gets so large that they cannot repay it. Okay. In recent years, this has become a major cause of distress among the farmers. In some areas, this has also resulted in many farmers committing suicide. Okay. Because of this, because of debt trap, farmer commits suicide. Why? Because they are not able to pay money back to the money lenders from which they borrowed. Now, so we have learned that Shekhar was a small farmer. Now comes the story of Ramalingam and Karuthamma, who are large and rich farmers. Okay. So we have seen three types of people: laborers who have no money or land; Shekhar, small farmers who have some land, okay, and earns a decent amount of money. And Ramalingam and Karuthamma, now they are large and rich farmers. Let us see what they do to earn money. Now, in addition to land, Ramalingam's family owns a rice mill and a shop selling seeds and pesticides. So you can see Ramalingam is very much wealthy. Why? Because they own land as well as a rice mill and a shop which sells seeds and pesticides. For the rice mill, they used some of their own money and also borrowed money from the government bank. To set up their rice mill, some amount of money they used from their own and some they borrowed from the government bank. They buy paddy from within the village and from surrounding village. The rice that is produced in the mill is sold to traders in nearby town. This gives them a substantial income. Now they buy paddy from the villages, okay, the farmers who live in the villages and the surrounding villages, and the rice that is sold back to the towns and traders, which gives them a substantial income. Okay. Agricultural laborers and farmers in India. Come to page number 72, where we are starting our next paragraph, that is agricultural laborers and farmers in India. So this was the story of Kalapattu village, in which we learnt about three different people and how they earned their money. We learnt about Tulsi, who is a landless laborer, Shekhar, who is a small farmer, and Ramalingam and Karuthamma, who owns a large amount of land and are rich farmers. Now, let us read. In Kalapattu village, there are agricultural laborers like Tulsi, small farmers like Shekhar, and a few big farmers like Ramalingam. In nearly 2 out of every rural families are agricultural laborer families. But most of the family in India, in rural India, what occupation do they have? They are landless agricultural laborers. All of them depend on the work they do on other people's field to earn a living. Many of them are landless and others may own very small plots of land. In the case of small farmers like Shekhar, their land is barely enough to meet their needs. Okay, what we learned in Tulsi's story, that they have no land or maybe a small plot of land, very small plot. But Shekhar, who is earning some money, it is not enough to meet their needs. In India, 80% of farmers belong to this group. In India, 80% of farmers belong to small farmers category like Shekhar. Only 20% of India's farmers are like Ramalingam. Okay, that means a very small amount of farmers are like Ramalingam and Karuthamma, that means who are rich. These large farmers cultivate most of the land in the village. A large part of their produce is sold in the market. Many of them have started other businesses such as shops, money lending, trading, small factories. Now what happens when they acquire large amount of money? They set up other businesses as well so that they can earn more money. Okay, money attracts money. You may have learned this idiom in English. Now, we have looked at farming in Kalapattu. Apart from farming, many people in rural areas depend upon collection from the forest. Now, there are some people in village like Kalapattu. What they do, they collect things from forest like animal husbandry, dairy produce, fishing, etc. For example, in some villages in central India, both farming and collection from the forest are important sources of livelihood. What do they collect? They collect mahua, tendu leaves, honey to be sold to traders, which is an important source of additional income. They work in their fields as well. Okay, they also collect stuff from forest so that they can earn more money. Similarly, selling milk to the village cooperative society or taking milk to the nearby town may be the main source of livelihood for some families. Okay, now some families they can also own a large amount of cattle, which means they can sell milk to a cooperative society or to nearby town. In the coastal areas, we find fishing villages. Now the villages which are coastal, that means villages which are located near sea, we have fishing villages there. That means most of the people in those villages, what their occupation will be? It will be fishing, which we are going to learn about in our next story. So let us find out more about the lives of a fishing family by reading about Aruna and Parivelan, who live in Pudupet, a village close to Kalapattu. So students, now comes the second story of another village. Up until now we have learned the story of Kalapattu. Now comes the story of Pudupet village. Okay, and who is narrating this story? The story is being narrated by Aruna and Parivelan. Okay, now what is the main difference between Kalapattu and Pudupet? See, Kalapattu village was mostly based on farming, okay, but Pudupet is located near a sea. That means most of the people in Pudupet, they earn their income by fishing. Let us see how they go on to their daily lives. Now, not very far from Kalapattu is the village of Pudupet. People here, they are living by fishing. Their houses are close to the sea and one finds rows of catamarans and nets lying around. What is a catamaran, students? Catamarans means fishing boats. Okay, the boats which people use to catch fish. You can find a picture on page number 73 as well, a small boat which is called catamarans. Now at about 7 o'clock in the morning, there's a lot of activity on the beach. This is the time when the catamarans return with their catch and women gather to buy and sell fish. At 7 a.m. in the morning, what happens? The boats come back from the sea. with people in them who have caught fish. Now people will gather on the beach and they will collect fish and they will proceed to sell them. So let us read the story of Aruna and Parivelan now. My husband Parivelan, my brother and my brother-in-law returned late today. Now this story is being narrated by Aruna, okay. She's saying that her husband, her brother and brother-in-law returned late today. I was very worried. They go to the sea together in our catamaran. They said they were caught in a storm. I have kept aside some fish for the family. Now this is a family whose main occupation is fishing. Before moving on, student, on page number 73, write your second internal question, okay. So your second internal question is right on the top of the page like we always do. On page number 73, write your second internal question, that is, how do people earn their living in Pudupet village? I am repeating it again. How do people earn their living in Pudupet village? Okay, the spelling of Pudupet is given in the paragraph. If not, you can see here it is written Pudupet. Okay, don't get confused between the spelling, just because it's a South Indian village. The answer, you all know, how do people earn their living in Pudupet village? You can write the answer right below the question, that is by fishing. Okay, how do they earn their living? By fishing. And if the question comes, how do people in Kalapattu village earn their living? You can just write by farming and non-farming activities. Okay, so in Kalapattu we said that the people were doing two types of work, that is farming and non-farming. In Pudupet, people are relying solely on agriculture. Now let us read ahead the story. So Aruna's husband, brother and brother-in-law returned late today and she has kept aside some fish for the family. I will auction the rest. The money I get from the auction will be divided into 4 shares. Now what she's saying, that they will auction the fish which they have caught, and the money from which they will earn from an auction, it will be divided into 4 shares. 1 share for each person who went fishing and the 4th one is for the equipment. What will happen? How the money will be divided? They will divide the money equally into 4 parts. 3 people went to fish, so 3 parts go to those, and 1 will be used for the equipment. Since we own the catamaran, engine and nets, we get their share too. We have taken a loan from a bank and purchased an engine which is fixed onto the catamaran. Now they can go far into the sea so that they can get a better catch. Now what did they do? They took a loan from a bank and purchased an engine, okay, a motor engine which they have fixed to the boat now, and because of that they can go far into the sea and catch a better amount of fish. The women who buy fish here will carry them in the baskets to be sold in nearby villages. Okay, whatever fish that they are getting, they will auction it to people, women, who will go around in the village selling them. Then there are others like traders who buy for the shops in the town. There are some people who have their own shops where they sell fish. I will only finish this auction by noon. In the evening, my husband and our relatives will untangle and repair our nets. Now, they have arrived in the morning, they will sleep till afternoon, and in the evening, they will again repair their nets. Early tomorrow morning around 2 a.m. they will set out to sea again. So 2 a.m. that means at night time they will set out again to catch fish. Every year for at least about 4 months during the monsoon, they cannot go to the sea because this is when the fish breed. Okay, this is important, underline this, that during the monsoon, underline from during the monsoon, they cannot go to the sea because this is when the fish breed. Okay, it is written as here as well, because during monsoon season, fishermen cannot go to the sea since it is a breeding season. That means they have to allow the fish population to grow back. Okay, if not, then the fish population will get exhausted and their livelihood will be done for. Okay. During these months, we survive by borrowing from the traders. Now, so 4 to 5 months they cannot go to fishing, right? So these 4 to 5 months they have to borrow money from the traders. Because of this, later on, we are forced to sell the fish to the trader and cannot do our auction. Again, same thing which happened to Shekhar is also happening to this family. How so? Shekhar also got loan the seeds and pesticides, fertilizer as a loan, and he had to sell some amount of rice to the trader at a lower price. Similarly, just because the trader is giving loan to this family when they have no money, they have to sell the fish to the trader and they cannot auction it. Those lean months are the most difficult. Last year we suffered a lot because of the tsunami. She is saying that the last year we also suffered a tsunami, okay, and we suffered a lot. So let us read the last paragraph now, which is rural livelihoods. I hope you got the story of all the characters that we have learned, that is Tulsi, Sekhar, Ramalingam and Karuthamma, and Aruna and Parivelan. Now rural livelihoods. People in rural areas earn their living in various ways. Some work on farms while others earn their living on non-farm activities that we have already covered. Working on farms involves operations such as preparing the land, sowing, weeding and harvesting of crops. As I just showed you on the DG as well, that there are various activities which needs to be done in farming. That is preparing the land, that means the land must be tilled, sowed, then the seeds must be sowed properly. When the saplings grow, you have to separate the saplings from the weed, that is the unwanted plants, and then you have to harvest the crops and thresh it. We depend on nature for the growth of these crops, right? From the growth of crops till fishing, we are depending on nature here. Hence, life revolves around certain seasons. People are busy during sowing and harvesting and less so at other times. Rural people in different regions of the country grow different crops. However, we do find similarities in their life situation and in the problems that they face. We learned these stories. These are not just the story of Tulsi, Shekhar, Ramalingam, Karuthamma and Aruna. These are the story of many of the farmers in India who do not have enough money on their own and are forced to take loan from moneylenders, okay, who exploits them. How people are able to survive or earn will depend upon the land they cultivate, okay. How people can survive, it depends on the land which they have. Just as we saw that Tulsi and Shekhar does not have enough land, they suffer. Ramalingam and Karuthamma, they have a large amount of land, they are flourishing. Many depend on these lands for work as laborers. Most farmers grow crops both for their own requirements and also to sell in the market. Many farmers in India, they grow crop in the first to feed their own family, then the rest they sell in the market. Some have to sell to traders from where they borrow money. For their survival, many families need to borrow money for their work or when no work is available. Now what happens, some families also need to borrow money for their work, like Shekhar did, to purchase seeds and fertilizer. Also when they don't have any work, like Tulsi had no money for Tulsi and her husband had no money for a certain amount of time, so they had to borrow it from a money lender, okay. There are some villages in rural areas which thrive on large acres of land, business and other activities. However, most small farmers, agricultural laborers, fishing families, craft person in the villages do not find enough work to keep them employed throughout the year. But most of the farmers in India do not have enough work so that they can get employed the entire year. Hence, they have to borrow money from the money lenders. Sometimes they are not able to pay it back, which leads to debt trap. Okay, so students, this was it for this chapter. I hope you all learned well. Please watch this video again if you have any doubts. Until then, take care.